Hello, this is Cherry. I'm here at San Diego Comic-Con, and I'm very excited to talk with Michael Robinson about how Amazon is instilling the love of reading to kids.
Hi. So I'm going to talk to you about two things today. I'm going to talk about Amazon Rapids and a new program for Amazon Rapids called Signature Stories. So Amazon Rapids started out as a passion project for me and also for the team to help kids instill that love for reading. That's where it all started. I have two kids of my own. I have a boy who's 8 and a girl who's 12. And so thinking about them and thinking about other kids, how can we have that effect that we want? And so Amazon Rapids launched last November, and it's really an app where we take short stories, they're illustrated, and put them in a way that's fun for kids to read. So they're told as a conversation, kind of like a screenplay, and kids just tap away in a very easy way, and that allows them to have a fun just reading away. It's on all platforms. It's on iOS, it's on Android, it's on Amazon Fire devices. And the stories can be anything from an alien talking about invading the Earth to two chickens debating about crossing the road. And we really do have a story just like that. And it also takes advantage of the mobile device. Mobile experiences are very short, so the stories in their short way are great for when I drive my daughter to, say, an art class, or sometimes I take turns with my son before dinner. He'll read one character, I'll read the other, and it really makes for a fun experience. And as you'll see through the demo, there's also a way for him to read it on his own, whether or not he feels comfortable reading every word out loud. The Signature Stories program takes it one step further. So the stories right now we have hundreds of stories. We're adding dozens every month. They're all exclusive to the device, and they're original as well. Signature Stories takes characters that kids already know and love and brings them to the device. And the first partner here is Amazon Studios. And Amazon Studios is bringing 2 TV shows to the platform. The first one is Danger and Eggs, and the second one is Niko and the Sword of Light. And we didn't just take the stories and bring them here with the characters. We have the original writers from the TV show working on creating the stories here. So it really brings the full authentic spirit of it. And the second thing is we have the voices coming from the original actors. So Aidy Bryant, who's from Saturday Night Live, she does the voice for Danger in Danger and Eggs on the TV show and also in our app doing the stories. And Tom Kenny, who's the voice for SpongeBob SquarePants, he does the stories, he does the voice here on the app as well. And I think with that, probably best to jump into a demo unless you had a question.
Well, I find it fascinating because I grew up with my parents reading to me. Was that one of the big inspirations for you guys?
Yeah, we wanted to make sure that kids are self-motivated to have fun. I come out of games, and as well as about half the team, and in that we know how to get people motivated to continue in an activity. So could we take what we knew there without any gimmicks or anything and bring that to reading? And we knew if we could do that, then we could get kids to just read on their own, have them be self-motivated, have them choose to do it. If we had that, we'd be in a great place because kids who read for fun, when they go to school, all these other benefits accrue.
Now, I was looking at some of the stories that you all are using. What is the age that you are targeting?
5 to 12. And that's a large range, but what we do is we have filtering so that kids who are 5-year-olds see a different set of stories than kids who are 11 to 12. And we also do a bunch of other things in there to help especially the younger early readers read on their own and read confidently. And it's best, you'll see when we do the demo how that comes alive.
That sounds great. So let's get to reading. The app is on Amazon and not just on Amazon Prime, and it's available to anyone for $2.99 a month.
Yeah, it's $2.99 a month. You could sign up on Amazon.com and then use it on any device. So somebody can sign up and then use it on an iOS device like an iPad. But then let's say the wife signs up, the husband can then come home and pick up an Amazon Fire device and use it with their kids on the Fire device. So it goes on all devices, multiple accounts per family. The whole idea is to get kids to just read and enjoy reading.
Reading is fundamental. So let's look at this.
Yeah, so on this screen here, you'll see I've got 2 profiles, these for each of my kids, and parents can do this for the same price, can have multiple profiles for each of the children in their family. So my son is 8, my daughter is 12, the panda is my daughter, the penguin is my son. So let's jump into my son's profile. So as soon as we jump in, you'll see a set of, and let's see if she's getting it there, yeah. And you'll see a set of stories, and the list goes on and on. Remember I said there's hundreds of stories. Each of these rows keeps going and going. And so right now we're looking through some of the, let me pull out
Peter
of
and
here.
the Werewolf.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, how fun. You do have a large library of books for kids.
Yeah, and we keep adding them, dozens new ones every month. And so you can see these are some of the genres: funny, holidays and celebrations, mysteries. Actually, going back to funny for a second, a lot of the stories are funny because we know that that's what kids want. A great example is my son. My son now, especially because of this app, looks as reading as a way for him to connect to humor. Right? If he wants to laugh, he knows he can read a story and get that. And that's the impression he's building in his head, which will stick with them. And he's going to look at reading not just as something that he's supposed to do for school, but something he wants to do because it's something that's going to bring him entertainment. And it's abridged entertainment. He asks for the Rapids app when we're at home in the same way that he might have asked for, say, to watch a video or play a game. And so it's really kind of fun. Let's just scroll to the top, and you can see we've got popular stories, recent additions for you. And now here's our signature stories: Niko and the Sword of Light, Danger and Eggs. And before we pop in, I'm just going to go up another row, recently viewed. Now, recently viewed, it shows, for example, that orange bar there. Keep tapping things. It shows in that orange bar there where my son was as he was reading the story.
Oh, like a page mark.
Right, page marks so he can go back in. But also look at the check marks. This is important. These are stories he's already read. But the reason, that was a hilarious one, Nick Chamberlain, Super Spy. But anyway, it's funny not only because it has jokes for him, but kind of like Pixar, it's got jokes for the parents as well.
Oh, wow.
So I love to read that with them. But anyway, the check marks tell him that he's already read the story, and if he wants to reread it, that's okay. And this is important because kids tend to reread. Once they make an investment in the characters, they don't just want to enjoy it once, but they want to enjoy it many times, and sometimes as well they want it as a series. And that's why you'll notice a lot of these are part 1, part 5. We have a lot of our stories as series because that investment, the kids want more return on it. If you've played with kids, you know they want it again and again and again. So let's jump into Danger and Eggs, part 1, staring contest. And so the way it works is you just tap, and then the first bubble pops up, and then you tap again, and the second bubble pops up.
Wow.
And then the other thing, so it's very easy for kids. And by the way, if they go too far, they just swipe back, and it goes back. These kids sometimes tap away, and so they can just go back. And the other thing I want you to notice right away is that the story opens up mid-conversation, and this is done on purpose. Ready, Dee Dee? Give me the rundown, Phillip. And so the whole idea is to get to draw kids in very quickly and really engage them. And so then they just keep tapping away so that they go the whole story and complete it. And we track that very carefully. We track to see whether our stories are read to completion, where the problems are, and we edit them to really make it work because we want kids to keep reading all the way through. And even when they finish the first story, that usually ends on a cliffhanger, so then they read a second story and they just keep going and going. And we get very long engagement sessions. The other thing to notice is that because the text boxes are staggered and you can see the avatars in front, kids can keep track of how the stories are growing. And especially early readers who can be maybe overwhelmed with too much text, they control how much text is on the screen at one time. They control the pace. This really helps build confidence. Let's say as they're going through, they come on a word that they can't read. Now, our stories are told in such a way that that pretty much the words are known by kids even as young as 5, but they may not just be able to read them. Their auditory vocabulary is usually higher, so what you can do is you could tap on the word, and did it play? Combined.
Oh, wow.
So it says it out loud. And so by saying it out loud, they're like, oh, combined. I couldn't read that. It looked like combined, right? You know, like I couldn't read it, but by hearing combined, I now know that that's combined. The other thing is if you want a definition, you can hold it down and it gives you the definition, combined, acting together. Then if I hit the say it button, combined, I can hear it again. Now the interesting thing is then you go to the glossary and you'll notice it automatically pops it up there. Combined is there now. Anything they look up is automatically here. They could say, oh yeah, I understand this. I could hit the say it button. Or I could say, you know what, I know the word now, so I'll just trash it and it disappears. I go back into the story. That's great for kids who are already starting to read. What about kids who are really, really early on? So let's go back to the beginning. And then let's turn on the say out loud button. And now So now,
According to my notes, with last week's current world record for most detailed brass angel, combined with yesterday's longest oboe blow, you have set...
we have set. I love that part because we have set. So what it does is, you could see right away there's an endearing story there where he's trying to say, you've set this record. And she's like, no, we have set. So a lot of our stories have that. Parents can feel comfortable that the storylines, what we're trying to instill in the kids are all safe. It's funny. It works for kids. Let the kids choose whatever stories they want. And in fact, we do that. As the parents complete the profile to get the kids signed up, at the end of that, we tell the parents, hand the device to the kid, let them choose. Let the kids go and read on their own. Because if the kids have the autonomy, they're going to be more engaged. And you'll know this if you've ever had kids and try to tell them what to do, right? So, and then it just keeps going.
Thank you, Dee Dee.
Thank you, Dee Dee.
We have set a grand total of 54 official park world records.
And so this is the funny story of Dee Dee Danger, who's a teal-haired future stuntwoman, and her friend, her ever so cautious best friend, Phillip the egg, the giant talking egg. And of course he's ever so cautious, he's an egg, right?
Set the park world record for most bikes ridden by one person at one time ever. We'll be sitting awesome at 55. Now let's get... Wait!
And so that voice you heard right there was Aidy Bryant.
Yes.
So let's go ahead to a different story. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to my daughter's profile.
Okay.
So my daughter is a voracious reader. She can, on weekends, she'll read a book a day.
Wow.
So for her, we offer a different experience. And this is to your question about the age range. So she can tap away
This is my sword of light! I am here to free my people and defeat the darkness forever!
So in case your viewers can't see, we're now in Niko and the Sword of Light. And so in Niko and the Sword of Light, she can do the same thing as he did, but let me turn off the sound, and let me also turn on scroll mode. And now my daughter, who reads quickly, she can just scroll at her own pace.
Oh, wow.
And you remember how I said the stories were illustrated? They're not just illustrated with the avatars and the background image, but they also have pictures midway through. Yeah, and so she could tap and it blows up full way, and they're really gorgeous pictures. These are, by the way, this is, again, to the earlier point, to bring the authentic spirit of this story, is from the studio directly for Niko and the Sword of Light. And so there's pictures put all the way through here to really give that illustrated feel, make the story immersive, and help the kids enjoy. Again, it's all about kids wanting to read on their own volition because they're getting a full experience that matches the device, it matches what they're used to, and it really creates that just joy and entertainment.
Wow, this is really well done. Now, did you work with someone in the education field to sort of figure out how to make it almost a teaching app?
So it's interesting about it. Yes, so we're in the education group, and we have teachers on staff, and so we can work with them and check things out. But for the most part, the idea here is to get that reading for fun. Because if they're reading for entertainment, they will get an educational benefit. And what I mean by that is that when they go to read in school, that reading for fun will help them when they're there. And if you ask any teacher, it's the best way to put it, if you ask any teacher if they know who in their class is reading for fun outside of school, they can name those kids immediately because they'll see it. They'll see it in how they work in class. So it's not. So in a way, it's the idea is to help the kids in their education, but it itself is really focused on just creating the connection in the child's mind that reading is first-class entertainment in its own right.
It looks really neat, and I'm kind of curious about reading these myself, as well as seeing the cartoon adventures that are exclusively on Amazon.
Yeah, so all of the stories here are exclusive to the device, to the app. They're edited on staff with professional writers who've written kid stories before, and as I said, we're adding more every month. And the kids really enjoy that, and from what we've from our interactions with the parents, we hear the same thing, that parents love that there's new stuff coming every month.
Well, I am excited to see this, and I kind of wish I had a child of my own to share my love of reading. Thank you so much for talking with me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations. I cannot wait to tell everybody about this program and to get kids excited and enjoy reading as much as I did when I was a child.